All right. We're live. Hello, people. This is African King. We're back again for the bi weekly show on wrestling. Road to WrestleMania. Is it heating up? We don't know, but we'll be talking about that and so much more. We'll talk about the matches that have been put on the card so far. One of the matches that has been scrapped, unfortunately. We'll get into that as well and so much more. But before all of that, I'll allow my co host to introduce himself.
Yeah, you WWE champion over here. What's good, King? Been a week since our last stream. I hope Matthew McConaughey was not watching that intro because you completely stole his all right phrase, King. So if he is, you're going to see a copyright scandal right here. But no, hey, WrestleMania, is it heating up? I think it is heating up. I think there are some flares, but I also think those flares are being blown away very, very quickly. We'll get into it. 2 weeks to go to WrestleMania. I will say, though, bottom line, I still think it is very underwhelming with the superstars involved in this WrestleMania and with the superstars not in this WrestleMania and some superstars who have dominated the scene over the last year. I just don't feel like this WrestleMania is clicking like last year. But at the end of the day, you got to trust in Triple H because since he's been in charge of WWE, he has been money, he has been the man, he has been cinema, and he's been box office. So can't write anything off, but I will say it has been a bit bittersweet.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna just speak on the matches that are on the card at the moment. Obviously, there are some that are up in the air. Obviously, the IC title hasn't officially put out a match yet, so we're not going to talk about that, and we're not going to talk about the Damian Drew situation. Even though I would say that the car scene was really good, but hasn't been officially made a match yet, and until then, talk about it then. Or as maybe a show before the WrestleMania as a preview. We'll do a preview show the nights before to the double header. But
Down.
we'll first talk about what I think is one of the most interesting stories in on the card, and a match that is a long time coming. A match between two women, not over a title, not over a championship, just over a story of hate. The hate that Naomi has for Jade Cargill. And from the moment that Jade Cargill got attacked, there was a lot of conspiracy theories on who was the one that attacked her. And from the moment that we found Naomi was the one who attacked her, to the performance that them two and Bianca had at the start, in where she told the truth. She said, "I did it for the Bianca," where she called her a bitch, where she did a lot of things in regards to showing the heel side of Naomi that we haven't seen for a long time. I think it's been so far one of the most perfect build-ups in terms of all matches. The level
Preach.
of intensity in terms of Jade Cargill coming out and attacking her in Elimination Chamber, the level of intensity every time that they face each other. Jade is just on timing, attacking her whenever, before the match, after the match. Naomi's promos have been solid. They've been absolute fire. You can actually tell that she's been waiting for this moment to show her skills. And I think these two ladies are perfect for each other. It allows for Jade Cargill to have a match at WrestleMania and kind of establish herself as a big baby face and a strong character. And it allows for Naomi to show the skills that we've known that she's had ever since she's jumped into wrestling. And I think people have forgot about how good Naomi is as a wrestler and a performer, and I think this opportunity for both of them is going to be great. I'm not 100% sure how good the match will be because Jade is still very green in terms of wrestling. So I think in terms of the wrestling side, I think it's good that she's going up against Naomi because Naomi will, I think, coach her through that match. But the intensity, the promos, everything else, I think it's the best storyline going at the moment for me in terms of how it was executed and how everything has led up to this point. I think this is the best work Triple H and his era in terms of outside of the big, main event ones, with the big, names. As a storyline outside of that, I think this has been one of the best ones I've seen. And AGASTYA, how do you feel about this program and things of that nature.
I completely echo every single word you just said. I'll just piggyback off your remarks there. Yeah, I think this has probably been the best feud so far in terms of pure narrative. When you talk about length and depth, they planned this well in advance. We've known they planned this since fall of last year, and they've executed it better than they planned it. Sometimes, again, narrative is important, but delivery is even more important. Talk about Cody versus Cena as well. Even Cody versus Cena, I would say Cena looks the better of the two in the feud so far, even though in terms of a substance standpoint, Cody is winning. Execution, Cena is cooking. But going back to this one real quick, I think they've done a great job. They've executed really well. As you said, the spot at Elimination Chamber when Jade Cargill came out immediately, we expected her to interfere in the match, but not at the beginning. So they threw a curveball there. And then the way they executed it, the facial expressions, priceless. Everyone played their role. Bianca Belair, even Liv Morgan played her role. So it's good to see Jade Cargill wanting vengeance. You can feel and see the animosity there. And then that spot on the SmackDown after where, as you said, Naomi basically went rogue and she embraced it. It was beautiful. I'm loving it. And the best thing about this is the first non-title women's match at WrestleMania since 2006, which is nuts, by the way. And that match in 2006 wasn't really a match either. I'm not going to say it on Stream King, but it was a R-rated match, a mockery, a parody in a way. So it's good to see both of them be at the forefront of WrestleMania. I think it's been one of the more developed feuds. And hey, big up Ekavin, AN Sports, legend. We'll see you next week for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And obviously, King, you'll be on the show tomorrow with Ekavin for the NBA, which in 30 minutes, Ekavin. Oh, right now, actually, I'm going to put it on the side, ready to watch the Lakers cook OKC. But yeah, so King, Naomi versus Jade Cargill, you're right. She's a bit raw. She hasn't had as many matches coming back to WWE, but I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. I think that's one that's been a slow burner, but that's one simmering. That's one that's been really cooking in the moment, and I think that's probably outside of the main title matches. I think that's the one I'm most excited for. But we move to something that's a bit a bit less of a entertaining thing. A thing that we would like. We call in the wrestling business a toilet break, and it shouldn't be, but it's going to be. And it's very disrespectful on the wrestlers that are in it. But that's the problem when you don't have storytelling and storylines for those wrestlers. And that's the Women's Tag Team Championship. You have given the titles to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez maybe a couple weeks before WrestleMania, like a month before WrestleMania. But no storyline, no competitors. And the only thing you do is put a bunch of teams in a multi-gauntlet match and expect us to be interested in any of their opponents. I'm not. I've looked at the opponents. I think it was an oversight by WWE for not allowing for NXT women to compete in that match, considering the best women's tag teams are in the NXT division. The Metaphor Girls. I'm liking Zarya and what's her name, Soruka. For me, I think it would have been better to give them an opportunity to get a shot at going on to WrestleMania and maybe introducing two new stars to the WrestleMania scene. So for me, I believe that WWE have had a miss with this title. I think this title needs to be abandoned, but unless you're gonna create actual women's tag teams, because a lot of these just feel forced. It just feels like you put two women together because you don't have a storyline for them, and that's not the way to do it. There are women in the gauntlet match that deserve to be single stars. The likes of Shayna Baszler, the likes of Zoe Stark. B-Fab as a wrestler has shown me a lot. Michin is more than just a tag team. There are women in this gauntlet match that are more than just put them together and make them have a match. And I think the women in wrestling deserve more than that. And I think there needs to be a more thought process in a women's tag team title if this title is going to go forward. I would scrap it personally because I think there's enough women that you can create matches for them within the mid card or matches just like Jade Cargill versus Naomi that doesn't have any belts for it and just storyline purposes. Allow these women to talk. Allow these women to express themselves. Allow these women to show who they are. Because a lot of them, I don't know who they are. I don't know what their motivations are. I don't even care. And that's why I called it a toilet break, this match. Because you've got Liv Morgan, who's been one of the best women's wrestlers in recent memory. You've got Raquel Rodriguez, who's a badass. And then you've got all these other ladies with names there that have shown in the past, if you give them the baton, they will strike home runs. In Shayna Baszler in NXT, Zoe Stark has one of the dirtiest finishes I've ever seen in a like 360 knee strike, a remix on the GTS. Allow these women to do more than just be in a match. Give them a story to tell that allows me to care for this match. But Augustia, what do you think about this match and lack thereof story and the disrespect on some of these women in this competition?
Yeah, I think it's, as you said, it's indicative of the mid card division of the women. Again, you talk about the IC title, the US title. They just don't develop those stories enough. It's repetition, and sometimes abundance is great. It's great to have an abundance of wrestlers. It shows you how rich in talent that you have in the company and Raw, on SmackDown, on NXT. But if you're not developing that talent, and if you're not embedding them, integrating and elevating the championships, what's the point in having them? I completely agree with you, King. And I think when it comes to the tag team titles, that match between Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez versus Bianca Belair and Naomi, cinema. I'm actually going to go on a limb. I think it's my favorite match this year. I thought it was beautiful from start to finish. It was unpredictable. It was unparalleled. It was entertaining. It was compelling. It was extravagant. It was acrobatic. It was aesthetic. Every single adjective you could use, it would fit into that match. It was brilliant. But I would say there's no story in this gauntlet match. I hate to be the guy. It's a very simple word, but it has to be said here. It feels like it's lazy booking. It feels like it's lazy booking, and Triple H. I think the real reason it's happening is because of Liv Morgan. Triple H, as you correctly pointed out, King, knows how valuable of an asset Liv Morgan is. I would say Liv Morgan is my MIP of the women's division. Not most improved, but most important player in the women's division, because she plays her roles beautifully well, just like Seth Rollins in the men's division. Maybe not the most important person there, Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, but they're the workaholics. They're the ones that produce the most matches. They're the ones that produce the masterclasses. They can do it on the mic. They can do it outside the ring. They can do it in the ring. And they're the company's representatives in interviews, for example, when they go in the media as well. So I think it just feels like Triple H is trying to get Liv Morgan on the card because she deserves to be on the card, no doubt about it. She's had a record-breaking, history-making year, as she correctly points out. But they could have... I understand the shout that you made about NXT and those certain talents that you mentioned. I would have gone a different route. I would have tied into the Elimination Chamber. I would have had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. That would have been my storyline heading into WrestleMania, because if you remember, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were the first record-breaking 2-time tag team champions. And then obviously Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the first 3-time tag team champions. So that would have you already have the feud written before they even meet in the ring. And on top of that, Liv Morgan eliminated Alexa Bliss from the Elimination Chamber. Alexa Bliss just returned at the Royal Rumble as well. It almost feels like predecessor and successor in a way. That just feud makes sense. But that also ties down to Triple H. One of his Achilles heels and flaws since taking the reins, becoming the COO, the Chief Content Officer of WWE, has been momentum and reading the room and capitalizing on it. And just with the Wyatt Six and Alexa Bliss, dude, when you make the return, you have to commit. You can't pull back. You can't pull back. It just feels like missed opportunity on opportunity. Wyatt Six, New Day, for example, Alexa Bliss. So, yeah, King, I think when it comes to the tag team division, it just feels lazy. It just feels lackluster. It just feels like we're trying to fit them on the card because, yes, they deserve to be there, but you're not putting them in the deserved position. So, if I was in charge, I would have had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, because that would have been a great match, and the story automatically already writes itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Wyatt Sixes has been a miss in terms of long term. I think when it first came around, it was something that was exciting. Obviously, Bo Dallas got injured, but I think you could have easily continued with the other characters and bringing in Alexa Bliss as well, considering she's made a return. You could have had her join them or do something around that. And yes, definitely that would have been something. And maybe they do something in the gauntlet match. Maybe they come in and attack everyone. Who knows? That might happen. But as of now, this match, toilet break. But
I mean, hey,
we
King,
move.
if that happens, Triple H, give us commission. Our idea. We created the idea. Give us commission, man.
But then we move to the next match, and what I like to call a curtain raiser, a match that can steal the show, a match that can do a lot because it's two great talents. It's not for a title, but it's two guys that in the ring, when it comes to ring work, they've shown again and again that they can do it. One is a grizzled professional veteran, and one is a newbie. One is probably one of the best new talents that we've seen in this business. You love to hate him, and the other one you love. Logan Paul, AJ Styles, Wrestlemania. Now, a lot of people would say that AJ Styles is probably wasting his time with this match. He probably doesn't have that many years left. But at the same time, I would say both of these guys can go. They can create a magic moment at WrestleMania. And I think this is one of those matches that are going to be a sleeper hit. I think people after the fact are going to love it. I think going into it, it was a basic build. Obviously, Logan Paul's hated. AJ Styles don't like him, etc., etc. It's the man that's all wrestling versus the man that's everything. The celebrity, the guy who came in and took over, versus the guy who's been there, done that, and probably should have been in WWE years earlier, but took so long to get there. And when he did get there, he's been hot ever since. But this match is one that's going to be exciting. I think the outcome doesn't really matter. I think it's more of what they can do in terms of in ring. I think this is just a match that we watch and just see what the craziness that these two can do together, and appreciate the fact that we're still getting to see AJ Styles currently, because he's only probably got about 3 years left, and hopefully after this maybe they can do something along with him and Finn Balor, because I think them two have been wasted over the last year. Yeah, Bullet Club for life, obviously.
Love it. Gotta
You
rep
know,
it.
but as in a one-off match, this is a match where, to be honest, it didn't need storytelling. It's just two guys that can go, and I think sometimes you need a match like that in terms of the men's side. But it's just frustrating that they probably could have done better with the storytelling for this one. But this is just going to be a wrestlers match. This is going to be exciting. This is going to be spot fest. But what do you think about this match? What do you think about these two talents going against each other? Obviously, there's people that are going to hate it, people going to love it, people going to be indifferent. But what do you think?
Yeah, as you said, the Maverick versus the Phenomenal One. I think among the best wrestlers in the whole company. AJ Styles, perhaps the best wrestler in the men's division. Logan Paul, banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. I can't remember a time Logan Paul's had a miss when he's come to WWE, at least very recently. He's a legend killer. That's the narrative you can fight into. He's a legend killer, Logan Paul, and he's a disruptor. But also he is box office. He's one of the most enjoyable, entertaining wrestlers to watch. Can we just talk about his finisher for a second? The pulverizer. Damn. That takes talent, that takes skill, that takes coordination, and he does that in abundance. Kudos to Logan Paul. I get it. The fans don't like him. He's probably the least respected wrestler among the IWC. And that's not because of him having heel heat. That's because he has legitimate heat. But at the same time, when you talk about scandals in WWE, there are a lot of wrestlers with worse scandals than Logan Paul. So, and every time Logan Paul contests a match, at the end of that match, you see the reception is overwhelmingly, if not unanimously, positive. So as you said, King, this is going to be remarkable. I think this could steal the show. I think this could genuinely steal the show, because they two will definitely have chemistry and expect the unexpected. I've heard theories, King, that Omos might make his return here, and not in the way we expected, because Omos, remember, he was in Japan towards the end of last year, and he said he was leaving the Japanese scene because his contract in WWE, and he was going to come back to the WWE, and this might be a perfect time to debut him, but not in the way we anticipate. Not my theory. I'm just the messenger here, but I actually align with the message. Somebody on TikTok I forgot who it was, so I hate to be that person. So if you're watching, put your name in the comments. I don't remember who it was. They said that Omos would return in this match, and just as it looks like he would defend AJ Styles against Logan Paul, because Logan Paul we know is definitely going to have some interference. Maybe it's JJ, maybe it's a Kai Cenat, maybe it's Speed again. God knows who. Logan Paul will get some help in this match. Just when it looks like Omos is going to help and aid AJ Styles, he's going to turn on him and remember how AJ Styles treated him when they were together, and Omos is going to become Logan Paul's bodyguard, because I think Logan Paul would benefit from someone like that. He has a cowardice heel personality, so that could be one way they go with that match. But do I think they require that? No, absolutely not, because these two can put on a show in itself. So if they do that, I would have no complaints either way, but they can't miss with this match. Surely not. It's money. It is money. So I'm looking forward to it. It is going to be a clinic and a wrestling masterclass.
Yeah, it will be. But as we go up, it must come down again. It's unfortunate. This match could have been another show stealer. But as we've heard on SmackDown, the big news, Kevin Owens is out. He's gonna. He says he requires surgery. I don't think it's a work. I think it's legit. I think he's gonna be out for a while. If it is a work, it was a great work, but I believe that it is true. So if it is true, a speedy recovery to him. He's gonna be out for a very long time. Obviously, next surgery is no joke. That's a big, that's a serious injury that has taken out better men than him in terms of wrestling. One of the greats, Kurt Angle, as well. So next surgery is gonna be. It's gonna. I don't know if we're gonna see Kevin Owens again. And it's a shame because he had multiple bangers this year. One against Cody, one against Sammy, and I think his match against Randy Orton was gonna be that as well. I think AJ and Logan was gonna steal one night, and Kevin and Randy was gonna steal the other night. I think that's what it was gonna be. But it's unfortunate he's not wrestling, and Randy's WrestleMania is up in the air. But that's all I really got to say. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Just that little piece?
Yeah, I think in terms of stories being developed, I think Kevin and Randy was the equivalent of Jade versus Naomi, because those were the best feuds in terms of WWE development and blossoming the tensions and animosity between them. It's a shame because they have great chemistry and the feud there's history amongst both men as well. But yeah, it's a shame for Kevin Owens, because just like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they both have been remarkable over the last year. So for them to potentially miss out on WrestleMania is such a shame and a disservice. But when it comes to this match and Randy Orton King, I'm going to ask you real quick, because I want to know your thoughts. I know we discussed this briefly on chat. What do you think should happen? Because obviously, Randy Orton must be on the card because he is getting older. He is in the twilight of his career. He cannot miss WrestleMania when he's fit. He's a box office attraction, reach and revenue. He's among maybe the Mount Rushmore of active WWE superstars. But at the same time, I think the play with Randy Orton, I think there's two possibilities. There is he goes down and plays the Seth Rollins WrestleMania 38 route. No one to face, an open challenge. You could potentially welcome back someone like Aleister Black or even a Rusev. Or B, that happens, but he can do it on behalf of Nick Aldis. You can maybe even get Nick Aldis back in the ring. Who knows? But it is a shame that Kevin Owens and Randy Orton is not happening. But there is still a way that they can tinker that match and make it eventful.
Yeah, definitely. I would probably. I think the best way would be a returning superstar would probably be the match that you could be put in, or you could have him against a new superstar, Ray Phoenix. I think his debut was cold, and he's a guy that him and Randy can work together in a match, and maybe that's how you establish Ray Phoenix if he can reach that level. I think him and Penta are going to be guys that you're going to need to put in top matches when it comes to WrestleMania. They've been introduced with big packages, so that could be another option. So I think the three options you probably have or four options. Maybe Rusev, maybe Aleister Black. Ray Phoenix would be an interesting one if they go for that. and the fourth option is Nick Aldis. But we'll see what they do. But for me, there's a fifth option that is crazy, and he makes the call to Dwayne, and he puts himself in a title match or something like that. But that's like crazy talk. That's like if he puts himself into like the world title match, makes that call, says I'm selling my soul, and becomes a part of the team. But nah, I think that's just crazy thinking. I think Randy will be there somewhere. I think it'll be a singles match against a returning superstar or Ray Phoenix. I think maybe Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis would be a funny one because he's RKO'd him twice now, and he is a former heavyweight champion. He is a guy that can go, and he still looks good. So why not? It's been a long time since we've seen a superstar versus a manager storyline. I mean, it is last minute. It'll be very hard to tell that story, but who knows? We'll see. It will be interesting to see. But I think the best option is for him to go at WrestleMania, probably night one, middle of the ring, and just ask for an open challenge. Say someone, I am a legend. Who can defeat me? And then you bring someone
Yes.
out. I think that's probably the best way. Or a returning superstar in the next couple SmackDowns who attacks him, and then you make the match. That's probably the quickest way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll just add real quick, you made a very good point on Nick Aldis. Also, we talk about motives and incentives. What's the incentive with having the Aldis Randy match? Because Randy Orton's probably going to beat him in that match if that is going to happen, which it won't. And if Nick Aldis is to return, it would probably be for a permanent full-time return. So for him to lose in that match, it wouldn't make sense for his trajectory either. And it just doesn't add up. So I agree with you, King. Bottom line, having Randy Orton versus a returning superstar would be great.
Yeah, definitely. But that's all we can talk about that. But we move. And this time we're going back up. We're going back up to something exciting. Now, one of the greatest big man matches we saw this week between two guys, two big slobs of meat, one SOB, one werewolf, and it was for an opportunity at a title. Now that match was crazy from start to finish. Big spots, big moves, big men, and out came the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, and he is going to be facing LA Knight, yeah, at WrestleMania. And with this one, I'm excited. I'm excited for the match because I think you know what's so great about Jacob Fatu is that it doesn't really matter who his opponent is. I know he's gonna do something crazy. I know his match is gonna be lit because he's gonna do his head bobbing thing. He's gonna go crazy, and he's gonna have a great promo probably beforehand. I hope they give him the mic beforehand just to promote the match before the match. I want the mic in his hand. I want him to say something. I want him to make you believe that he can do it. And I think you can believe in Jacob Fatu beating LA Knight. But it will be very interesting because LA Knight is one of the most over superstars. Jacob Fatu is on the trajectory of being over. You're seeing crowds start to chant Fatu. Even in Europe, they were going ole 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 Fatu and things of that nature. So he's starting to become a more popular superstar. And then in the background, you have lurking Solo Sikoa, a storyline that's been simmering a little bit and something that they may use that match to create a scenario for that to simmer on towards SummerSlam in the summer. So there's potential after WrestleMania where you get a bit of a simmering in terms of what them two can be. And for me, I think I would like him to win the title. I would like him to start his own group. I think he is big enough to be his own brand, have his own team, have his own squad. And it'll be interesting to see how his trajectory after this match. But who knows? He may not win. He may win. We'll see what happens. Interference is possibly with Solo Sikoa as well as a way to create further matches down the line. But I think this will be a good time. It'll be probably one of the shorter matches on the card. The US title doesn't have the flair of the other titles in terms of the picture, but it is two guys that can go and two personalities that I like to watch. So what do you think about the US title match, Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, and obviously the number one contender match as well.
Yeah, I don't think you can similar to AJ Styles and Logan Paul. I don't think you can really go wrong with this match. Either outcome or will be great, will be received very well by the fans. I agree with you though, King. I think ideally you put the belt on Fatu because momentum. Man has momentum. Man has traction. He's a heel who's over, and when a heel is over, it means they're probably doing the best thing in wrestling possible. So he's a brilliant in-ring talent. We've seen him on the mic as well. Not on the mic, but necessarily behind the scenes, and he can talk. He can talk. He can be decisive. He can be commanding. He has charisma as well. So him and the Tamatonga as well. That'll play a role. That'll play a factor as well. So I'm looking forward to this match. It should be good, as you said, King. It'll be short, sweet, but it will be very, very sweet. It'll be one of the more underrated matches in the card. They should give it to Jacob Fatu, and as you said, King, maybe form a faction, maybe even find a way to have this be involved with Roman Reigns down the line. Who knows? To elevate the US title. Just a plan. I wouldn't proceed with it, but it's something you can consider. So yeah, I think Fatu should beat LA Knight for the title. But either way, I don't think any outcome can be that bad.
Definitely. I think whatever way you decide to go, whether it be interference, Solo Sikoa attacking man, whatever way you kind of split up this match, it will lead on to something further, and I think it will lead on to great storylines going into the summer, especially with the likes of the dangerous Tonga Loa coming back. Obviously, you have their other brother Hikaleo around the corner. You have the likes of Bronson Reed returning at some point over the next 6 months. You even have Jacob Fatu, who has a brother in the independent scene who Journey Fatu, who can come in at some point, and you also got Zilla Fatu, the son of Umaga, as well, who can come in over the next 6 to 12 months and add to the bloodline storyline and everything that accompanies it. So yeah, man, he's got traction. Put the title on him, and that title will go to the moon. But we move to the main matches, the big titles. Now, there is one other match that doesn't include a title, but we leave that to the end. Just like if they were on SmackDown, we'll leave that to the end. But for now, we'll go through each of the main title matches.
That was a wise decision. It's very wise thinking.
Very wise. We'll go through each title match, and we'll start. And we'll you know what? I'm gonna do it based in terms of hype level, from lowest up to the highest. The lowest, unfortunately, after what happened on SmackDown, personal digs, a bit of an awkward segment. I've watched it back a couple times. I thought it was okay at first, but then I'm watching it again and again, and I'm saying, what are they doing? This is the second segment where I feel like they're just trying to bury each other. They're being a bit too catty, a bit I feel like neither one are trying to. Yeah, it was a bit low brow. They're not trying to raise the level. They're not trying to help.
Should be Anthony Davis brow.
Yeah, exactly. This match is like trading Luca for AD. I don't know what I'm seeing, but it's a bit weird. It's a weird one. And this match I'm talking about is Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. Now, there's a lot we can say about this. The first promo for me was underwhelming. I think Charlotte tried to bury her. The second promo was Charlotte not really saying anything, the crowd getting maybe a bit too involved, and Tiffany putting a personal shot, which seemed very out of script, and then a return jab. And it isn't shown on YouTube, so we know that it's not scripted. There may be some beef backstage. Ludo Kaiser, we got questions for you.
No one believes that, King. No one believes that in their right mind. Even on 7 shots or 8 shots of vodka, he would not do that.
Flair did the Conor McGregor. Your wife's in my DMs. Your wife's in my DMs. That's what she did.
At least it makes sense with Conor. With Charlotte, it's just a load of balloons.
No, the 0-3 bar was a cold bar, but it just feels like they're the match isn't going to be great because both of them don't seem to have chemistry in the ring,
Yes.
in the mic, and it's a bit of an awkward one still. But Gustia, I would like your thoughts. What are your feelings towards this title match? Because this could be the making or breaking of Tiffany Stratton, and I think Charlotte Flair's not doing what she's meant to do. She's not elevating her fellow talent. And what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think Charlotte Flair is possibly the worst partner she could ever tangle with in the ring. Because Charlotte Flair, as much as she is greatness, as much as she is in the Flair family, one of the royal families in the wrestling industry, when has Charlotte Flair ever elevated any talent? She buried Asuka. She buries talent on repetition. And again, she's a tremendous in ring talent, no doubt about that. But unfortunately, she just is really out of sorts. She feels like Roman Reigns, the big dog, but on steroids. That's how badly out of sorts and out of touch she is with the whole situation. Let's not forget, she came back to WWE in the Royal Rumble as a face. She became a heel, not because her character became a heel, just because she was booed out of the building. Charlotte just doesn't, again, this feud, the problem is it's not reading the room at all. And that goes to Tiffany Stratton, who I think is also another very good wrestler. She has the perfect moonsault. She's great. She is box office for many different reasons. Obviously, men like to watch her. Many men on the IWC, as we see on social media, they like to watch Tiffany Stratton. So she will generate reach and revenue. That's just a fact. That's how you got to think in WWE as well. But again, I think when you talk about her promo this past week, just this week alone with Wade Barrett in the ring, it is very representative. As you said, awkward, no chemistry. But for Tiffany Stratton, no shade against her, just professional constructive criticism. I think she needs to read the room. It feels like she was reading off a script. That's what it felt like. Watching that promo, it felt like she was reading off a script and trying to finish that script instead of reading the room. And when there were stoppages, when Charlotte Flair would counter her lines, she would continue on that script. When the crowd would be over her, when the crowd would overwhelmingly boo Charlotte, she would continue that script and finish that line, which is comes to the point, the main line, the dagger, the decisive line, the line that everyone is talking about, 0-3, masterclass. I think that feud kind of needed that. As much as it was unscripted, that feud definitely needed that because now we're all talking about it. So kudos to Tiffany Stratton. And if they can, I think they have to be unfiltered, man, because they're portraying it as Tiffany Stratton being the next Charlotte Flair, except being able to do it from a young age, unlike Charlotte Flair. I hope they can delve into personal insults. I hope they can go raw. I hope they can go authentic. I hope they can go unfiltered. They can go out of pocket. And they can do a lot of things with that. They can play into that dynamic, that relationship dynamic between Charlotte Flair, 0-3. They can talk about things like surgery and insecurity as well. If you really want to go CM Punk pipe bomb level, you can 100% do that. And you can just talk about the fact that Charlotte Flair, 14-time champion, she's probably the most successful champion in sports history who's not respected by most of her fans, most of the fans in the company as well. So there are multiple ways you can go with this feud and with this storyline. But at the end of the day, King, you are right. At the moment, Tiffany Stratton, before this feud, she had unbelievable amounts of momentum. She was revered by most people as a heel, and now she's a face. But it just feels like the execution, as I said when we opened up the show, again, storyline is great. Substance is very important, but execution is even more important. That's why people like John Cena, for example, have been so successful, or even just in this feud. That's why many people think Cena's whooping Cody's ass, because he's executing his lines with much more charisma, competence, commanding, empowering sense. Tiffany Stratton's not doing that. So I think Tiffy, you just need to commit. You just can't hesitate. I've watched some Tiffany Stratton interviews, like I have with most of the company anyways, when they're outside the ring. Tiffy just needs to relax, just needs to deliver it with more composure and calmness. And I hope they can play into that. But as you said, King, I don't think they will. I just think for whatever reason, Charlotte Flair does not want to touch the baggage in her life. So we will see what happens. I think it will be a good match. But a part of me, King, I hate to be that guy. Part of me thinks Charlotte Flair might win that match. She shouldn't, because she's very similar to a Hulk Hogan or a Copeland in that sense. She buries talent. Like I said, she buried Asuka. She buries people along the way. I can't remember when she's put over someone. I really can't remember that. So I'm a bit fearful for Tiffy, but I hope they can put on a clinic. That's how they save that feud. They put on a clinic and Tiffy wins.
Yeah, I just think it's the wrong dancing part of. I was speaking to some friends about it, and I feel like, and one of the things they said, which resonates with me, is Charlotte's the person that you go towards the end of your title reign. That's the person that you fight towards the end when you're at a point of strength, when you're kind of developed to the point where you can actually compete at that level. I think Tiffany needed a different dancing partner. I think it would have been better probably for to keep her heel and go against a sympathetic baby face like a Bailey, someone like that who is willing to take the pin, willing to take the loss, rather than a Charlotte who has been shown to not want to do that and not want to bury talent, because the trajectory of Asuka before and after Charlotte is night and day, night and day. And I think those kind of decision making things. Charlotte is the Cena of the women's division. She is the Hulk Hogan. She is that kind of, oh, I'm just gonna win and move on. And then when my reign is happening, it's like no one cares.
But what I would say, King, is real quick. Cena at least can break the fourth wall and he can read the room. Charlotte does not. And she cannot take criticism lightly. The way she interacted with the fans, that actually seemed like it was personal. Like it actually affected her.
Yeah, yeah, no, but Cena in the past has buried talent. He buried the Nexus. He's buried Kenny Dijkstra. He's
Yeah.
buried some talent in his time. So he's had bad moments. I feel like when you're a top dog like that, you're gonna bury people because of who you are and the power that you command. And sometimes you're gonna think, oh no, this is what we should do, when the truth is no, that's not what you should have done. And we've seen that in when it comes to the top talent. Obviously, it's not in a selfish nature. It's not like a Hulk Hogan, who's the other spectrum, where he's not just a nice person, but you get a Stone Cold who sometimes says, "No, I don't want to do this," and then leaves the company, or a Rock who says, "No, I don't want to do this," or a Cena who says, "No, I don't want to do this," when they should have done it. They should have helped that talent. And I think recent Cena has been much more forgiving and much more of a guy that has helped talent. But at the same
Too
time,
much.
yeah, at the same time, the talent he's allowed to beat him at this stage, it hasn't really elevated them. Austin Theory, Solo Sikoa, they haven't gone up to the next level because of it, because Cena's aura is less than it was once. But we'll go into that. That's another match. But final point on the Charlotte Flair Tiffy, it's the match that I care for the least at the moment. And unless they do go personal, and I think they need to, it's not going to elevate any more than it is. And I think Tiffany needs to win the match. If Charlotte wins the match, you might as well just scrap the whole thing, because it's pointless in my mind. I think that will get booed out the building, and I think that will probably, turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. That's what's going to happen. Netflix is going to get closed down. People are going to be like, "Oh man, come on, Triple H, you're acting like you're Vince." That's what people are going to be saying when that happens. That's what we call a Vince move. That's that's what we're gonna call a Vince move when you make a decision like that. But we move up the ladder to another match, and I think this match has had bad moments, had good moments, but this Monday it elevated to a little bit. It elevated a bit more. It became personal. When family gets involved, it becomes personal. And when you see your brother, your twin,
Okay.
bloodied up, beaten down, I wanted to see this from the start. When Gunther told Jay that he was gonna make his life misery, this is what we wanted to see. It's a bit too late. It should have happened earlier. But yeah, Jimmy is Himmy. He's the reason why this feud has gone up. The promo he had on
MVP.
SmackDown,
MVP. MVP.
a match, and then the beatdown afterwards. Because that's the one thing, Jay. People love Jay because he is a family man and because he's the Yeet Meister, and they love his song, but they also love the fact that he's a part of the bloodline story. And what's the way to get to him? His twin, his family. So the one thing Gunther had to do was get the family, and the way he did it was the right way. A bit of bleeding, a bit of blood on the chest. Gunther becomes the ultimate heel. He does what he said what he was gonna do. He I think he sellotapes or what. So he uses some kind of, I don't know what it was, to stick Jay to the ropes, and
It
he
was like
beats.
Cena. It was like Cena versus Batista. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah. It was like that. It was like when what's it called? Randy did up Stephanie in front of Triple H. It was that level.
Oh,
It was
lucky
that
man.
level. That level. You know, crimson face. He took his blood, put it all over his body. He said, "Yeah, come on, Jay, come on, Jay," and he was taunting him. I liked every minute of that. This is what this feud needed, but it is only third on my list because the other two matches had more going for it over a period of time and more, better moments. But that one moment has elevated it in terms of above the Tiffany storyline. But good for Jay. They finally cracked the code. Jimmy has been the guy to elevate this storyline, and next Monday, Jay, I don't want to see no yeeting. I don't want to see no smiling, jucking and jiving, dancing, all up in the video. Nah, I don't want to see none of that. I want to see I want you to, who I want you to go to Ludwig Kaiser, say, "Where's Gunther?" and attack the hell out of him. Then I want you to find Gunther. I want you to attack the hell out of him. Hell, find Giovanni Vinci, attack the hell out of him as well. Attack
Yeah,
anything that is connected to Gunther. Go to his
yeah,
yard, go to Austria, attack his mom, his sister,
yeah,
his cousin, his
yeah.
auntie. I don't care who.
It's that dog.
Because that's what you need to do. I don't want no smiling. I saw your face at the end of that. You saw what he did to your bro, to your twin. What he did to
Capitated
Jimmy.
him, man.
So it's get back season, and I think that's what is needed. But Augustia, when you get back, what do you believe about this match? What have you thought about the way it's led up to this point? Obviously, it was an extremely slow burn because I felt like the introduction of who were the Alpha Academy and that and the things of that nature wasn't needed for the match. But and also I feel like up until that point, up until this Monday, this match was boring. This match was going to be somewhat forgettable. This match didn't have the anger, the hatred it needed. It didn't have the kind of the oomph in terms of storytelling, and I feel it was a little late, but it was right on time. Seems like my co-host has gone, and I will say this when it comes to Gunther. His world title reign so far hasn't been the greatest. I think it comes down to the fact that he as a champion hasn't always, for me his IC title was a lot better because he's an A champion, and the world title unfortunately isn't the A title. But I will say that he is a guy that needs to be looked as menacing. The two times I've hated him the most is against Damien when they made him look like he was a crybaby, a weak version of himself. And right now when he's attacking Akira Tozawa and Otis and guys I don't care about, but the attack on Jimmy, that's when it picked up. But Gustia, you're back. What do you think
Yes.
about the build up, and what do you think how Monday Night elevated this match?
Yeah, I would like to apologize. My battery bar went as red as Gunther did this week. It went as blood red as Gunther did, as Christian Bale, American Psycho did. So I love it. I love it. We talked about this a brief in the back rooms. I think you need to make Gunther a vicious man. You need to make him vicious, vile, cruel, bloodthirsty, remorseless. Make him a despicable person because he is that guy. 666 days. He has the devil run. He has the longest run in intercontinental history. Play into that. Play into the fact that, again, I know initially we're trying to portray Gunther as a bit with trepidation, with hesitation, with doubt. Someone who is a little bit anxious initially when he was feuding with Damian Priest. I didn't like that direction. I think you have to portray Gunther as a badass, as a bad, a vile, a vicious, a villain. Make him be your villain. Make him be your Thanos. Make him be your Doctor Doom. Make him be someone like that. And when it comes to Jey Uso, yes, yes. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy, because you took this feud from very predictable to, okay, at least a David and Goliath that we're worth watching. So thank you so much, Jimmy Uso. Sincerely, from all the wrestling fans, we appreciate you saving this match. And Gunther, now is the time to go from strength to sinister to sinful to sleazy. Be that man, Gunther. So I agree with you, King. I think next week, Jimmy Uso, or tomorrow, Jimmy Uso. Enough of the. Sorry. Yes. Oh my goodness. Same person at the end of the day. They're twins, right?
Twins.
So, twins. Yeah, they're twins. Jey Uso, emulate your tribal chief, man. Emulate Roman Reigns, or sorry, the former tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Emulate that. And Roman Reigns had his quickest intro last week. Jey Uso, now it's your time to have the quickest intro next week. So, yeah, make Gunther the vicious badass. Make him the devil. Make Jey Uso David versus Goliath, and perfect that feud, because I think now you have the momentum you need to. And I think I will say one more thing about this feud. We talk about Jey Uso making botches, which we know is organic. We know he does make botches organically, like, come on. But I must say, I'll give WWE's creative team credit where credit is due. They managed to cover that up really well, like playing the botches into a storyline. Like, kudos to them. That is smart. That is really smart. So very smart of you, shrewd of you, but cunning as well. So yeah, at the end of the day, we are 2 Monday Night Raws away from WrestleMania, and what you need to do is portray Gunther as this villain, Jey Uso as this guy who wants vengeance, but at the same time, it looks like it's too much of a tall order for him. And when it comes to WrestleMania, you need to emulate very similar to what happened last year between Sami Zayn and Gunther, except with the bloodline this time, where Jey Uso meets Jimmy Uso coming on to before he enters the ring. Maybe even Rikishi. Maybe you get Rikishi involved in this. Who knows? Make it that big, because this is Jey Uso's career-defining moment. Maybe the Tribal Chief as well. If you want the Tribal Chief to stay as an anti-hero, not a heel, not a face, an anti-hero, then maybe he can meet Roman Reigns before the match as well. Give him some words of encouragement before the match. So he can enter the ring, revved up, roaring to go. And then when the match takes place, I really hope it's not like Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, or Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, where everyone related to Jey Uso and Gunther interferes. Let them fight. Let them fight without interference. I know some fans have called for, Ludwig Kaiser to interfere, for Jimmy Uso to interfere. Don't do that. Let them fight, and let Jey Uso eventually win and have his moment, have his cherry picking moment. So yes, King. Now I'm excited for this feud. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to yeet as the opening match of WrestleMania, because it sets the tone, and this is a match that will set the tone.
Exactly. Now, that's the boost we needed. We move on to the next match. We move on to, well, to be honest, it's up in the air. We kind of have an idea of what the final product's gonna be. It's gonna be 3 women. One is Mommy. One is Bianca Belair, the EST, and one is Io Sky. And for me, I've kind of been 50-50 in terms of this build-up. I think it's been a bit over the place. I would say this. It was great to see Io win the title. I think that's what she needed. I love the angle when she slapped them both. I like the fact that they're kind of trying to disrespect her, but at the same time, she's saying, no, I'm the champion. And the European crowd did its best to elevate her as well. I think the European crowd did more than what an American crowd in terms of making Io feel as that kind of that face type champion that people are gonna be behind, which was good. And in terms of, I feel like it's one of those matches where you're gonna see that Bianca and Rhea are so busy trying to get at each other that they forget who they're in the ring with. And I like the fact that they added to the storyline that Rhea hasn't beaten Io. That's another additional thing that you can add to that. That's something that you can go back to, something that Rhea may have to overcome in the future. The only thing I would say is there is no real heel in this match. I think they've tried to make Rhea the heel, but I don't know if it's worked. Obviously, the European crowds were very anti Bianca, for one reason or another. We don't talk about them things there, but it is what it is. They were booing her, but she isn't really the heel either. So I think the only thing this is match was probably missing is who the heel is, because storytelling wise, you'd think it's Rhea, but because she's trying to interfere in a match that's already been set in stone, she's moving very bitter. But it doesn't make sense the way that you've put her up in terms of after Judgment Day, having her break out on her own, become this, the mummy, the Rhea Ripley, the female badass character, for her to go back into this heel persona. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do overall for this match. Obviously, right now it's set in stone as Io versus Bianca, but they're probably gonna do a triple threat with them. And speaking back to another match in terms of Liv Morgan, Liv Morgan and Raquel, I would have loved to have added a Liv Morgan into this match and maybe make it a fatal 4-way. I think that would have added an extra bit of, spice to it, and that could have been something they done. But in terms of these three ladies, one thing I know, they're all great wrestlers. They know how to make this match entertaining. I think every kind of thing that they've put them in, they've elevated it, and I feel like every scene that they've had together has been good so far. Obviously, there's been a bit iffy endings to matches, which is here or there in terms of the overarching story, but I would like to see these three ladies go. I think this is the most excited I am for the women's match outside of Jade and Naomi, and I think this match is going to be a great match just because of the talent level that you have with these three, and it also allows for whoever does win, it allows for future matches, because you're gonna need to have a Rhea versus Io, because Rhea's gonna have to get that one on the board. You're gonna have to have a Rhea versus Bianca to see who is the actual top dog out of them two, and also with Io going forward, you're gonna have to have her have matches with the likes of Bailey, with the likes of Asuka and Kairi Singh coming back into the fold as well, and what they can do with them ladies. So I think it's very exciting times for the women's division, and this match is the better end of the two main women title matches. Whilst the other one, they're trying to tear each other down, I think these ladies are trying to bring each other up. So what do you think, Agustia, in terms of this match and so far?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you can put this match in 3 words. 3 words starting with R. Io Sky, her narrative is about respect. Bianca Belair, it's about retaining. Retaining what? Retaining her unbeaten WrestleMania streak and reigning supreme again. And when it comes to Rhea Ripley, it's about revenge. Revenge, because she feels, again, as you correctly pointed out, King, I love how they're tying into the history between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. She has never beaten Io Sky in a match. Good. Tie into that narrative. Tie into the lack of confidence there. And then Bianca Belair as well, two of the biggest badasses in the women's division, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. So I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to it. It should be chaos. It should be carnage. That's the word. It should be carnage. They should beat the shit out of each other. That match is capable of main eventing WrestleMania on pure talent. It's not going to, but I think it will do a very good job opening night 2. That's how you could probably put it in the card. But I can't wait for it. I think it should be good. Who would you have winning it? Because I'm torn. I think Io Sky, in terms of respect, it could be great for her. I don't think Rhea Ripley needs to win because she just won She won her match against Becky Lynch last year. She doesn't need back-to-back WrestleMania wins. She's very over in terms of reputation. I think I would give it to Bianca Belair just because that streak. She can be your female version of The Undertaker in a way. I would give it to Bianca Belair, but you can't really go wrong with this match either. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they beat the shit out of each other. They're 3 very damn good wrestlers. They're badasses. They're brilliant. They're based, if I say the word, King, based, the word I use in chat nonstop. So yeah, I can't wait for it. I would have Bianca Belair win, and I agree. But also, real quick, before you I don't interrupt, Ekevin, if you're still on here, last time I checked, King, are you keeping up with the OKC Lakers game?
No, no, been too interested in this wrestling topic, man.
Yeah, I've been keeping on tabs on it. Lakers were up 20 heading into the second quarter. So
They're
Luke,
still up 16.
yeah, exactly. Luka's cooking, bro. Luka's cooking, bro. Ekman, where you at, bro? I'm not gonna talk before the game ends, but where you at, bro? Where's the respect?
Yeah, it's a bit too
KFC,
early. It's a bit too early.
KFC, ATP, PGA, OKC, Lakers in 5. Anyways, King, go on.
But yeah, no, back on topic. Yeah, I feel Bianca's probably the one that you have win. I don't know who you have her pin. That's going to be very difficult for me to decide. And I would like someone to be involved in the match, attacking someone. I think you can have a Liv Morgan attack a Rhea. You can have a Bailey attack a Io Sky, maybe to move on to future matches. The good thing about it being a triple threat is it allows for uncertainty surprises. I think these ladies can go, but you can add a bit of spice and dice, whereas it allows for the narrative for one of the ladies to say, "I didn't lose, I got attacked," kind of thing, so that you can lead on to further matches. And I think SummerSlam, if you have Bianca win, I think a Bianca versus Rhea SummerSlam type match would be great for the summer, or a Bianca versus a Naomi or a Jade going in the future. If you have Naomi come back and move to Raw, and actually, you know what? I tried to help you, Bianca, but no. But what did you do? You turned your back on me. That I think that would be a feud that you can go into the summer. Have a heel Naomi versus a face Bianca. I think that would be very interesting if that's something that they want to do. I would pay for that. I think that would be exciting. But we'll see what they do. I think there's a lot of possibilities because all three women have history with other women within the industry. EO when it comes to damage control, a Bailey, so that's a way they can go. Bianca, obviously, with the Naomi situation, that's something that they can move on to. And then Rhea, I think her and Liv's situation hasn't really fully finished like that, and also she has other storylines that she can tell, and maybe have Rhea and you could even have Rhea win and finally beat the demons of pinning Io Sky. But who knows? I think this is one of those matches where whoever wins doesn't really matter. It will be good for me. Uh, I don't mind who wins this one. This is one of those ones where I don't have a direct choice. But we move 2 more matches to go. This one is for the WWE Championship. Yes, that beautiful belt right there. But it's all gold. That one. So it's all gold.
This
And
one's bad.
this one has been good and bad in terms of build. I think the greatness is the heel turn. I think one of the most shocking moments we've seen in my lifetime. These are once in a generation heel turn moments. The Hulk Hogan, the John Cena, and Roman and his wise man came together. That well, I'm going to talk about more of that, but the moment itself is probably bigger than anything the match can do. Going beyond that, I feel like that moment right there. The only thing I didn't like about the moment was Travis Scott. Uh, I'll be honest, he kind of ruined it a little bit for me personally. I know some people liked it, but a bit too wild with a slap. I would have had to scrap him afterwards. You thought it ain't real. It's not that real, damn it.
I
But
mean, he must have been the highest in the room when it happened.
yeah, definitely love the reference. But after that, I feel like the ending, the promos was Cena talk, Cody talk, Cena talk, Cody talk, and then finally they got together. But I felt like you should have done that from the start. I, 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 maybe you were protecting Cody, maybe not. But for a feud to happen, one is very confusing messaging because Cena took his soul to win sold his soul to win that title, but we haven't seen The Rock since. Then he goes on to say he did it because the fans disrespected him and etc etc. Then he goes on to say that he wants to ruin wrestling, which I mean, how does that align with the views of The Rock, considering he's the one that controls it all? So it's the only issue I have with the Cena promos up to this point is it's very confusing messaging up to now, and I don't really know how this all links into with him selling his soul with The Rock. We haven't really got the full picture of it all, and I feel like sometimes they're just winging it when it comes to these promos. Even though how the last promo with him and Cody was so great and such amazing moments, I feel like there's no with this storyline. There's not really a thorough thread, and it happens because the fact is that there's periods of time where Cena's not there, and because he's doing his movie thing, he's doing other stuff. I feel like it lets kind of down the trajectory of the show itself. So for me, it's going to be very interesting to see how the match is. Um, I would like to know your thoughts on on the match as a whole, the storyline and the build up. Obviously, you had a lot to say in regards to the way that they've booked Cena so far. So I would like to hear that, and then I kind of have a rebuttal towards it. But I would like to see your full thoughts when you get back. Is it going to be back soon? Who knows? But in the meantime, The Rock, where you at? Man came and said, "I want to take your stall," and all that. But we haven't seen him since. We haven't seen him in the match. We haven't seen him talk about anything. And for me personally, I believe that going forward, we need The Rock to be on the show or something, even if it's via telecom or because it's one of those ones where without him being a part of it, it doesn't put the whole story together, and it feels like it's a mixed match story in general. But I want your point of view on in terms of Cody Cena. Obviously, you before we talked about the Cena situation. I want your view, and then I've got a rebuttal to it. But I wanted to hear the people to hear what you had to say first.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, with this feud, I think this feud is being carried by star power rather than substance. And when you talk about the substance of this feud, you're very correct in saying that Cena, if you really listen to what he's saying, it's contradictory, it's illogical, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't tie into the whole picture of why he sold his soul. He's yet to address why he sold his soul. And coming from a storyline perspective and a booking standpoint, we're never going to know why he sold his soul before WrestleMania because he's not going to show up before WrestleMania. It feels like it's a story that's incomplete. And for your final retirement season, or supposedly the year you retire, it's a big shame that we're not going to get a complete Cena story heading into WrestleMania. It's a big hit. I think you could have done a lot with this. You could have either done two things: A, played into this victim narrative of John Cena being mistreated, being maligned by the fans, being defamed, destroyed, giving everything the man with the most make-a-wishes in WWE history, in human history, the man with the most titles in WWE history. You could have tied into this narrative. I never got the respect I deserve. Finally, I need to cash in my competency and my status and translate that to success. You could have done that. And then you could have also been very vicious and tied and compounded that by being vicious and saying, no one is ever capable of filling in my boots. Cody Rhodes, you're supposed to be my successor. Who the fuck are you? You could have done that as well, but we're never going to get that, unfortunately. We never had the build that we were supposed to. You could have taken this much more deep and with much more depth and decisiveness. When it comes to the promo battle that we had on last Monday, like I said, Cena, in terms of execution, he exemplified himself. He won in terms of execution. He spit some bars, the line about the billionaire kids, cinema, mastery, beautiful. But when you talk about the actual substance, Cody wins, man. Cody is right. Like it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't add up. Also, the "you can't wrestle" line, damn, ouch. For supposedly the greatest of all time and has 4 to 5 movesets. Yeah, I don't know. Cody Rhodes is right. Cody Rhodes really hit at John Cena. So bottom line, I think with this feud, It's a shame. You could have done a lot more with this feud, but it just seems like John Cena is not really prioritizing the WWE, or they're not really booking this as precisely as they can. Like I told you in my fantasy booking, in my WWE, I had 4 different winners at WrestleMania. I had Cody walking in, Cena winning, then The Rock winning, and then Punk winning. That's not going to happen. That shouldn't happen. What will happen at WrestleMania instead will be John Cena will walk out of WrestleMania as the winner. It's very predictable, and that's okay. That's fine. But I just think they could have developed this feud much more decisively, much more comprehensively. And for Cena's last WrestleMania match, it is going to be a shame that just isn't as perfect as it should be. But I'm looking forward to it. It will be great, and it will be very nice to see John Cena win a record-breaking 17th World Championship.
Yeah, and adding on to it, I feel like for me, when it comes to Cena, I think it's going to be interesting to see the first time him fully wrestle a match as a heel in a long time. You know, using dirty tactics. You know, doing. I think he isn't Superman Cena anymore. His aura has gone. He's lost so many matches. He even said it himself. He got beat down by Solo, lost to Austin Theory. Even with the people talk about the crossroads that happened to him and he looked weak. I like the fact that he looks weak. I think this is a different Cena, and I feel in the match, I want him to be devious as possible. I want him to be the heeless worst version of him, because that's the best way for him to kind of show this new Cena in terms of doing things that we haven't seen him before, being desperate, because that's what he is. He's desperate for this to break the record. He's desperate to ruin the WWE. He's desperate to ruin the hearts of the people that mocked him, that said they couldn't see him.
That's what he got to do.
Yeah, he's desperate. He's got to do things that is out of his kind of realm, and I think that's going to be the way you kind of move forward. And then finally, we move on to the main event. Obviously, it's not main eventing night 2; it's main eventing night 1. But you know, here and there, we have 3 men involved. We have Seth freaking Rollins, or
A visionary, a revolutionary, a Monday Night Messiah, the man.
Yep, we have,
or the man's husband.
It's clobbering time, CM Punk, and we have.
Put your ones up. One last time, King. Put your ones up. Honor the tribal chief, the man who saved professional
original
wrestling.
Tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Now, it was very interesting to what happened on SmackDown. There was a lot of talk in regards to what the how would I say it? What the favor was. And for me personally, I think the favor was a bit underwhelming. But I will say this. I like how it's gonna affect the match. I like how it brings back old storylines. I like how it brings back the history of Paul Heyman and CM Punk. They've said this. They've preached this. They said there's Paul Heyman himself on WWE television said, one day I'm going to take you down the aisle of a main event of WrestleMania. So him saying, telling Roman, I can't do that. He knows what he said that this was gonna happen. He prophesized it, and this is for the people out there. You know, when you talk about something happening, it's got one way or another, it's gonna happen, because you kind of what's the word?
He's not a predictor. He's a spoiler.
Yeah, he's a spoiler. But what's the word when you think when you think about it so much that it comes true?
Manifesting.
They manifested this moment, and you know what? I think all the promos up to now have been very funny. I mean, when Roman was at the head of the table and he was like, one man's dream is another man's favor. Check.
Are you crying? King, are you crying?
Today, Junior. it's Section 5 will be, yeah. No, I think it's been very funny. I think the fact that in the last promo, Seth Rollins was just there to hate, just to watch and smile.
Oh, he
See
was priceless, man.
he's just
Invaluable.
there, just like there, like this, letting it happen. And I think overall, in terms of the threading storylines of Seth Roman being the Shield, of CM Punk being the creator of the Shield, and I think the only thing that they should have gone more into, which I wish they did, was that CM Punk never picked Roman for the Shield initially.
Yes.
WWE picked him. So that's something that they never really talked about. I would have loved for that to be a part of it. I would love to CM Punk to talk about it. Say, I never picked you. The machine picked you. You know,
Your company creation.
or exactly. Considering they're talking about another company creation, another storyline in John Cena, and I like the fact that there's a storyline thread around Paul Heyman. It's unfortunate that Mr. Lesnar will not be involved in the future, because I think
Yeah.
them three in a feud would have been cinema, you know. Paul Heyman on a pool match between on a pole match between them three. Who is he gonna decide? But Paul Heyman has a history of betraying the person right next to him, and I hope this leads to Paul Heyman leaving it all together and moving on to his next client, Braun Breaker. I think for Paul, I want him to move on to his new client. I want Roman after WrestleMania to take a break and become a new character when he comes back. I think he was right. He even said it himself. If I don't have my wise man, I ain't the tribal chief. I think that's what we need. We don't. The tribal chief is done. We don't need the tribal chief. You know, bye bye tribal chief. And I feel like how those three, Punk needs to win the most, and with Seth Rollins, honestly, I'm happy that they don't say freaking Rollins in his name no more.
Thank
But
fuck.
but for me, he's just, for me personally, I don't really like him as a character. I just think he's a song and a laugh. But honestly, for me, I he is a workhorse, but I just Roman said it. Get this bomb out of here. You know, he's a loser bracket champion. You know, he's a B tier class. You know what I'm saying? That Roman said it before, he said it again. So for me, Seth, I think needs to move on from this Roman CM Punk hate fest. And I think for his career, but for his career, he needs to, take a book out of his wife, what his wife is doing, and take a break himself as well. I think this kind of character and who he is has been overutilized to the point where a lot of people are disenfranchised with Seth Rollins and the character. He needs he needs time off, and he needs a refresh. I think it's the ending of a god, ending of an era for these guys, and I feel like they need a bit of refreshes. Maybe end their careers with one more character, one more storyline, one more something different. They don't always need to be around each other, kind of thing. And I hope that this match ends all their feuds, and even Paul Heyman moves on to do, and all four of these men, including Paul Heyman, go on to do different things after this. Because I think that's what's needed. I think Roman goes after the WWE title. I think Seth goes back to his world title picture, and CM Punk gets a real main event in WrestleMania for a big title, or goes after Cena maybe in the summer. I think Punk versus Cena is something that has to go forward. So I think he goes on to do that. I think Seth has to probably take a break and then go on to go back for the world title. And I think Roman needs a break and then goes to face whoever is the champion at the time. Maybe that might be Punk, and then you have Punk Roman next summer as something that could possibly, or next WrestleMania as something that could happen, and that be the main event of it being. And then you could have the two WrestleMania main events for next year be Rock versus Cody, Roman versus Punk, as something that next WrestleMania could have maybe potentially. But I love what they've done with this match, but I would like to hear your thoughts, Augustia. So go ahead, the floor is yours. Say as much as you want. Once you've said your piece, we'll end the show.
Yeah, okay. I agree with everything you said up until the outcomes and the bookings. What I will say about this feud is, you spilled it out completely correct here. Unfortunately, Seth Rollins, he is the MIP. He is the most important player in the men's division. He is the workaholic. He is one of the best in-ring wrestlers the company has, the best among the Shield. He's brilliant on the mic. He does the media work. He does the work on and off the ring. He does the work competitively, commercially, but he feels like a third wheel. And his character, King, as you correctly pointed out, he feels like the man's wife. He feels like Becky Lynch's wife at the moment. That's what he really feels. And instead of, as you said, instead of taking Becky Lynch's clothes, he needs to take Becky Lynch's memo. Take a break, come back, reinvent yourself, be the architect, be the messiah, be the sellout. Find that rhythm, because you have the potential to be one of the greatest characters of all time. And I think, Seth,
One thing. Also, with Aleister Black returning, that's a storyline that I like to see finish.
Yeah, revisit that. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. That's one thing with Seth Rollins. 2, Roman Reigns. Let me give Roman Reigns his flowers right now. The Tribal Chief. I'm going to go on a limb. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I personally believe that the Tribal Chief is the most important character in wrestling history, at least in the 21st century. Without the Tribal Chief, we would not have the Final Boss, John Cena, Cody Rhodes in their way today. Period. The Tribal Chief saved the WWE during the Dark Ages. 2017 to 2019, man, we were in the trenches. We were in the Mariana Trench. We were deeper than the Mariana Trench, for God's sake. That Mariana Trench is nothing compared to what we were witnessing. WWE was comedy. It was Comedy Central. Then the Tribal Chief returned after leukemia and during the pandemic. What did he do? He turned heel and created perhaps the most important, the most significant character in wrestling history. He saved WWE. He formed the most dominant faction, or at least up there with Evolution, in WWE history. Him and the Wise Men, the greatest manager and wrestler partnership ever, the most important for sure. And for 4 years, they completely transformed WWE from the Dark Ages to the dominant age, to the golden age, where WWE today generates the most reach and revenue ever before. And even just last season, talk about the build. The reason the build was so beautiful was because that whole bloodline narrative, the whole Tribal Chief, the history, the heritage, the legacy, the legend. So that ended on Friday, which is sad, which is a tragedy, but it was about time. So Cody Rhodes beat the Tribal Chief. CM Punk broke the Tribal Chief. And I think, again, it's a shame, because Roman Reigns, the difference between the two company creations, Cena and Roman Reigns, is Roman Reigns actually, he didn't leave WWE when they were shit. He actually transformed it and became the supreme being. So, but it's about time. I agree with you. It is about time that the Tribal Chief goes, because he's done everything he has to do. The most dominant reign ever. What more can you possibly and plausibly and realistically and really do? So Seth Rollins needs a revitalization. Roman Reigns, you can be your anti-hero. I don't think Roman should be a face. I don't think he should be a heel either. Just be an anti-hero. Be authentic. That's what Roman can do. Be a badass. And then CM Punk. CM Punk, that favor. I don't know, man. The favor is not supposed to be tied to any match. And Roman versus Punk should have been a feud that happened down the line. This WrestleMania should have been about Roman and Seth. Should have been about closing that feud, because that's been decades in the making. And for that favor, it's not proportionate, man. War Games, kayfabe-wise, is supposed to be putting your life on the line. So the return is one match where Heyman is in Punk's corner, and then Heyman can return to Roman, which won't happen. But that's what the favor is. It makes no sense to me. The favor should have been a world title match. That's what it should have been. But hey, it's not that. And then at WrestleMania, I initially thought Punk would win, but now I think Seth Rollins is going to win, and they all deserve to win. They all really deserve to win. I think Rollins will win, and I think Heyman will probably betray both of them and then go to Braun Breaker. That's the storyline that happens at WrestleMania. But after WrestleMania, I think the aim has to be the summer of Punk. They've already hinted at it. Cena versus Punk to save the WWE. The irony is Punk is the one saving the WWE, the man that once tried to destroy it, to completely ruin it. the man is representing the anti-establishment part of WWE, and Cena is the establishment. That's great. Seth Rollins can return whenever he wants to, and Roman Reigns, the plan has to be next year in New Orleans. Roman versus Rock has to main event WrestleMania. It has to happen then. If it ain't happening then, I don't know when it's gonna happen. So that has to be the plan. But I'm excited for it. It will be a great feud. Can't wait for it, or a great match. It can go any way. Either or will be great. But they're going to give the win to Seth Rollins, I think, and Heyman will betray both Punk and Roman, and that's okay. That's fine. But Roman Reigns has to come back stronger than ever, because for Roman Reigns, one of the greatest characters, who I would put in my horsemen of WWE, he can't lose 2 WrestleManias in a row. Considering the man has main evented 10 WrestleManias now, the man beat The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, Edge, Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins. Sorry, King, I had to say it. In the WrestleMania main events. Yeah, you just gotta, push comes to shove. Roman gotta return better than ever. Gotta reign when he comes back. Seth Rollins gotta recalibrate, and CM Punk gotta put him in pole position to take that championship off Cena and hold it heading into WrestleMania next year. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think you need CM Punk to win in order for it to be the summer of Punk. But yeah, I don't know if Seth's gonna win. I think Seth might be the one to take the pin, but we'll see what happens. I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how they go with this match afterwards. But yeah, as we can tell, for the most part, WrestleMania, the matches are good. The feuds are somewhat inconsistent. And overall, I think it's a 6, 7 out of 10 build so far. It's not the greatest. It's not the worst. It's middle of the road for the most part. And there's a lot of stories to be told. And there's some matches that they haven't added. Obviously, the IC title, the women's IC and US title matches haven't been added. And also, there's going to be the match that no one wants. Damian Priest, aka
Hogan.
aka Hogan, aka a female taker versus Drew McIntyre. But we'll see what else they add. And but yeah, I think overall the road to WrestleMania has been underwhelming compared to the last year, but I don't think you could ever lived up to the final boss. And also you have to kind of say this when it comes to the final boss WrestleMania. That was audible. That wasn't the plan. So sometimes greatness happens from things that wasn't planned. And I think WWE need to, follow the wind, follow what the people are saying, and sometimes not follow the plan. Because that's when the best moments happen. That's when the craziness ensues, and that's what makes wrestling just more than a scripted show. It makes it different. It makes it unique because of the fans, and they have their say in it. It's not like watching a TV show where you don't have any say of what happens, and then your favorite character goes, and you stop watching it. In this show, your voice is needed. So over the next couple weeks, you American fans, you better make some noise. I don't want to see no quiet stadiums no more. But anyway, we're on the road 2 more weeks. We'll probably be back to preview the both nights of WrestleMania, maybe in a week and a half. And then we'll review the whole thing. And going forward, any new debuts, any new characters. And last but not least, great debut from Rey Fenix. I'm happy that him and his brother are in WWE, and I can't wait for the moment where they become the Lucha Bros and become a tag team again. And I think if WWE do them both right, you have 2 guys that can be superstars for the next 3 to 5 years. Anything else before we go, Augustia?
Give Finn Balor some respect, Triple H. You've made him a jobber. He's only won 2 matches in the last 2 years, apparently, which is nuts, singles matches. So give him his respect. Give him his US title at WrestleMania. Oh, sorry, the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. And watch out for both mid-card titles. But apart from that, King, great show. I think it's been maybe our best show of WWE so far. I've enjoyed it, and I can't wait to come back before WrestleMania. So, which is crazy. The next time we'll be back, Cena, Roman, Punk, or Cena, Roman, Rock, they won't be back before the next time we come on this show, which is pretty sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. But for one last time, all hail the tribal chief, and we are out. Peace. You know what I mean?
Roman.